Welcome to the fourth season of Heard, Afros and Audio interview series. My guest today is Mike Brown. What up?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me on the show.
I'm so grateful that you are here and that we're going to have a conversation and get up and personal. We're going to get all up in your business about the art of letting go and the other work that you do. And I'm looking forward to the listeners and the viewers to just get into all of what makes Mike Brown great. So let's go.
Sounds good.
All right. So introduce yourself for the people. Who are you and what do you do in audio right now?
All right. I am Mike Brown. I am everything when it comes to creativity. I make music. I produce podcasts. I host my own podcast. And currently in audio, I am producing other people's shows, but also still staying a creative in the space. I've been creating in audio since I was in third grade. I remember my parents buying me a recorder, one of those like tape recorders that would record audio, and just recording myself having conversations with like people in my family, recording myself making songs. And I feel like I'm living my childhood as an adult, like still recording people, still making music. So yeah, that's where I'm at in audio.
It's super dope to have that inspiration so early on. I've been a writer forever and a storyteller, and you start to understand like how powerful things are. I'm sure interviewing people back in the third grade and you're seeing responses and interactions and the fluidity of conversation, that blows your mind open. Oh, okay, this is something here. This makes people react and move, gets the people going in a way.
Yeah. Before I had podcasting, for some reason, I would just record conversations. I remember when I moved to Los Angeles, one of my best friends, he would come over, and as I'm making music, we would just have these really deep conversations. And something told me one day, just turn the microphone on and just record the conversation. I recorded us one day and I let him hear it back, and we were listening to what we were saying. And at that time, we just thought we were so deep. So we were like, let's just keep recording ourselves every time we hang out. But yeah.
That's cool, man. Podcasting before you even knew you were podcasting.
Yeah.
That's cool. So your podcast is called The Art of Letting Go. What is it and what made you start back in 2017?
Man, I started my podcast because, I was in therapy at the time. I just opened up to my family and friends about my sexuality. Going to therapy and having these really deep conversations with this stranger, it was giving me a rush. Like it was just making me feel good, but also opening me up to just grow in more of who I am and just showing up in the world more authentic. And I was working at Starbucks at the time. Wow, I'm looking back. I was working at Starbucks and I quit my job just because I always would go through these phases of I'm gonna quit my job and pursue art full time and then go back to a job because I'm having this awakening in a sense of like really finding out who I am as a person. Overcoming this thing that I feared and allowing myself to really be my full self. It was like, who can I be if I fully in all aspects of life do this? So I quit my job and I was in therapy at the time, and therapy had gotten too expensive for me. They had raised the price on me. And I was like, man, I need a place to still get these like thoughts out of my head and like just express myself. So I talked to a couple of friends about doing a podcast because I had heard this podcast from this DJ named Anthony Valadez, who ended up being a mentor of mine once I really immersed myself into the world. But he had did a podcast about starting a podcast and just how easy it could be to express yourself. Mind you, he was on the radio in LA. They still on the radio in LA, but yeah, he just recorded himself one day, and then the next episode was him recording himself on the phone. And it was just, it just felt like play and it felt like exploring, and I was curious about it. So I talked to my friends about it and they were interested. My friend Alpha, shout out to Alpha, was like, yeah, I'll do this podcast with you. People think I came up with the name like in some kind of profound way, and I really didn't. I just woke up one day and was just like, The Art of Letting Go. And that's just how the name came about. A lot of people have asked me if I studied Buddhism or something like that. I never have. I don't know anything about it, but I understand that they practice the art of letting go. And I think for me, it was more so just I'm a creative, and how can I creatively still release? So that's really what it was about for me.
Yeah, you were actively doing it, and it was a part of your journey. That's a natural unfolding of things. And for most people, especially creators, for those of us who let some of it lay dormant for a while and not really push it out. We don't really understand still, I think creators, and regardless of stages, understand how truly cathartic and like how much it really is a release of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, things I've been holding back on, things that I've been unsure if I can actually say out loud, but I just did it. So now I got to just deal with it.
Yeah, and that's really what it was for me. Like, I would record the episodes, and the way I would, because this is the thing, like, and I'm sure you know as well, because we've been doing this for a while, we know how to produce, we know how to do all these things, but all of those things came from trial and error, like trying things. There wasn't a school for podcasting that I went to. My thing was with my friends, we would go for a walk, and as we're walking, we talk about things. It's all right, that's it. Let's go record on that. Like, I would take the time to like build the episodes in real time and just through conversation. And it's like, all right, this piece of our conversation, and I don't know how much I can share here because I was a younger person. I smoke a joint before. We probably go for a walk, smoke a joint. Things come up in conversation. That's it. And I think once I got past that phase of like, this is cool to open us up, but let's be a little more intentional about it. I would say the shift for me in all of this was when I started to work by myself. I guess I just took it a little more serious.
Yeah. That's the progression of work. And if you aren't learning as you're going and growing, then I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. And I can imagine too, I've produced podcasts where the feedback is, I never ever told that story before, or I never thought that I would ever get this out of me.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine even in that beginning, what's so important and why I'm bringing it up is the work and the progression of it, is that first part of it was necessary too, just as much as the part where you start taking yourself seriously, because you also gave space for your friends to have conversations.
Yeah. And the best advice I was ever given as a podcaster was, if you and the person you're talking to get something out of the conversation, the audience will. So a lot of times when I would have conversations with people, I was really like trying to get something out for myself, but also making sure that person that I'm in conversation with is just feeling filled up after this conversation as well. And yeah, I get that a lot too. Like in my experience, I think the two biggest things that come up when I talk to people is always, I shared something I've never shared before. And also when people say, wow, that question really made me think, or that was a great question. And I love when that comes up because it almost feels like people don't get those questions in everyday life. So when they come to the podcast, they get to just reflect on parts of themselves that their everyday connections may not bring up for them.
Yeah, that's what is so important about podcasting and why it's always great to connect with people who get it, like really get it and what the work is about. So out of all the ways you could have processed and shared the ideas that you've been creating and the work that you've been doing, why did podcasting feel like the right medium for you?
Podcasting felt like the right medium for me because it was a blank canvas. I had been playing music since I was in 4th grade. I'd been making music since I was in college. And there were just so many rules, or at least imaginary rules, that existed for me as a musician that I felt like I restricted myself. So yeah, like music made me feel very restricted. But also when I moved into podcasting, it was just a blank canvas. I didn't know anything about the medium. I didn't know anything about it. So it gave me the space to explore. Just like when you get that first drum machine and you're like chopping up samples and you don't really know how to chop up samples. So they may sound a little crazy. You may find things that you like. And that's what I did. Like, I remember my first episode, I ran music. I ran beats that I made through the entire episode. But at the same time, it was what I needed to get my message out at that time. So that's why I always tell people, just explore. The more consistent you are, the better you'll get at it. Podcasting felt like the medium for me because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think we often take for granted the power of curiosity and exploration. I tell people as a coach, when I work with people, I'm like, gotta understand that life is only a series of experiences and experiments. Like, you don't know nothing until you know it, until you've had the experience or you experimented enough with yourself to even explore what it looks like, the curiosity to continue to what else can I do? What else can I create? What would happen if I did this? Podcasting is truly like that landscape for people that discover their voices here, discover the things that they like and what they don't like and who they want to talk to and who they never want to talk to again in life
Yeah.
because that didn't work. You know what I'm saying? It's such an important craft, which is why it's such a push for, I know it's someone like myself, and I know that you do the work as well, that we have more people enter into the space, whether you're doing a limited series or something longer. Like this is important work, like inner work too.
Yeah. You know, something that bothers me about the podcasting, I guess we call it a community, but something that bothers me is how much people try to police people
Yeah.
entering podcasts. And, oh, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. None of us entered that way. This is something that didn't, like, for me, it didn't even exist when I was going to school for audio production. So for somebody to tell somebody else, you can't do your podcast this way, or you can't use this mic, or you can't use whatever I've recorded on a phone that may have not been my best audio quality, but people have let me know how it made them feel. And it's like, people are feeling something. Who cares what it's recorded on?
Yeah. Listen, some of my best work has been done on the 1-800 line. The story matters. And to your point, obviously audio quality matters. We're in an audio business, so I get that too. But you're so right on the fact that this is such an open field. And I think that the more we have these conversations, that opens people up, and this medium is going to expand itself.
For sure. And I think there are levels to doing it. If you want to do it at that high production, high value level, yeah, you will have to level up to just be at the playing field. But I think just to simply do the craft, I even tell it to people with music, just to be able to create music, you don't need big production studios and all that. Like, just express yourself. But as a professional, yeah, it will require some different things. But if you're just doing it for the art and doing it for the love, just do it.
Yeah. And with music no longer being as regulated as it once was, meaning that there's really no need for middleman, a record label, same as it is in podcasting. We're seeing what innovation looks like. So you produce over 200 episodes. Congratulations and kudos to that. First of all,
I appreciate that.
What do you think that level of consistency teaches you about yourself as a creator?
It's a great question. For me, staying that consistent, it just showed me how committed I am to the craft and that I really, truly care about it. Yeah, I would say it was like doing that many episodes, doing them that often. It really was like a learning ground. I'm an athlete as well, so it felt like putting up those jump shots to be able to perform in the game.
Yeah, conditioning.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure, for the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you are now, is heading to this next level of yourself as a creator, as a professional. You describe yourself as a creative architect. When someone hires you, what's the first thing you listen for to understand what their show needs?
I listen for what is the message that they want to get across. I ask, how do you want people to feel after listening to this? And that helps me really craft what it is that we're creating.
Yeah, no doubt. And you were a creator first and a producer, or would you say producer first and then a creator? Or you've always been a creator, but professionally, what would you say?
I would say professionally, I was a creator first and then producer. And as you asked me that question, like, I almost feel like it was reversal for me in music, because I was producing music first for other people, and then I started to create for myself, and now producing for others. And yeah, I think that transition has been, especially for me, like a lot of my work has been word of mouth. So it's somebody telling somebody about me, and when they do their research on me, they usually are looking for me to do me. A lot of times, not people looking for me to come in and be some robot or just an engineer. Like, they are looking for that Mike Brown touch on what it is that they're doing.
All right, what is the Mike Brown touch?
I think the Mike Brown touch is feeling and authenticity. Also just intention. And like I said, just being able to be yourself. I've done so much work on myself that it's hard for me to be attached to things that don't feel authentic. So if I'm a part of it, I'm bringing that to the table as well.
Yeah. And the importance in that is the work that you've already done to bring something to the table, that's culturally aware, that's sensitive to people's experiences, that's inclusive of other folks' experiences, with that mindset that, listen, we all start somewhere. We all want to go somewhere, most of us who are even jumping into podcasting. And so what does that look like? So I love that, man. It is important to have people in these roles who care, because there's a lot of it that's not about care.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we talk about this, like I realize that is the through line in all of the work that I'm doing, like from my own work to other people's work, is that care. Going back to the title of creative architect, like I feel like that because I do feel like I build worlds. People tell me what it is that they want to create. I feel like I just am able to bring that to life by just being me. I think one of my favorite movies is Inception, where they like go into people's minds. I feel like that's what I do creatively. Like I can go into somebody's mind and build out this world that they may not know how to do by themselves, and maybe even bring more out of it by just being myself.
Yeah, that's important, man. I love that. You talked about building the sonic identity of a project. What separates a podcast that sounds good from a podcast that feels like something?
I think, man, that's a good question. I think anybody could create good sound, or like I said, with some of these microphones, but I think something that feels good, you really have to tap into emotion. And sometimes it is what may be politically correct or incorrect. So I think for me, yeah, it's a bit of rawness in how to make something feel how it should feel. Storytelling is so important. I think storytelling plays a part in feeling as well. When I first started podcasting, I look back and I see what I would have done differently, but I do think about those times where people would tell me like, hey, I felt like I was sitting in on a conversation of friends, just sitting in the room with you guys. And that's beautiful to be able to create that, people to feel that, and as I was able to understand more, I understood how to still create that feeling for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's the recognizing what it is you're doing and the duty and responsibility of it all. We can work on any damn thing. It's what's going to move, touch, and inspire you first, too. Like, it matters what you work on. It matters who you're in community with and building with. As you create your verticals and your businesses and all these sorts of things, being clear about that is a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So your work centers vulnerability and community care. How do you create space where people feel safe enough to be honest on the mic?
I think that space is created by showing up and being that, modeling it for other people, showing up in the room and being vulnerable, lets everybody else know that they can let their guards down as well. Like, even both as a host and as a producer, when you show up authentic, like it makes other people just feel comfortable naturally.
Yeah, you got to create a culture around
Yeah.
yourself.
I think for people like us that, I haven't worked corporate in a long time, working on my own, I've been able to develop my own principles and culture around work and business. I find sometimes people are in these spaces where they're afraid to let the person know something that's funding the project, or like the person with the big title or the big role. For me, internally, it's always, if I can't express how I feel, this may not be the space for me. And
Yeah.
I find that usually my vulnerability, me speaking my mind or speaking what I feel, usually creates that safety for everybody. People welcome it. I don't have a clear experience that I could think of where it's been rejected.
It's important that the posturing and the representative that isn't actually for real, it gets dismantled quickly, man. We really, as a people in general, we don't got time. We don't got time to be playing, not with each other and or with the work that we're creating. And I'm not saying not joy and fun and creating things that do or don't have impact. I'm just saying we don't actually have time to be playing with each other when the work still needs to be done. And feeling safe is not our everyday opportunity and experience. So like, where can I go? When I can find it, I want to really latch onto that.
Yeah.
And you watch the industry shift to audiences being more selective, plus the push toward video now where we're at. How do you decide what to adapt to and what to ignore?
I adapt to what speaks to me, I adapt to what my audience is interested in. Like, I will say I have been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
but I did see a spike when the pandemic hit. Like, I think during the pandemic, especially with everything that was happening with George Floyd and just everything that was happening around the world, people were looking for tools, people were looking for resources. And my podcast was coming up as one of those things that I was seeing people put on like list of like podcasts to check out for mental health. People had time to listen to
Yeah.
podcasts. And like all of that stuff led to me, as I'm thinking about it, like that led to me like working with Spotify. They did a residency and Larry June was there, Doechii was there, and I was a part of that as well. But then once the pandemic passed, like people stopped listening to full episodes. Like I started noticing like people were only listening to about 20 to 30 minutes, you know? And for me, it's, are you going to keep making hour-long episodes and people aren't listening to them, or are you going to adapt?
Yeah.
So I had to adapt, and I shifted how much time I was putting into the podcast. Now you see people moving into video. I'm open to video. I love
Yeah.
video. I don't like editing it because I'm more of an audio person.
Yeah.
I don't see an issue with shifting to it. Most of the podcasts, like I watch them all on YouTube these days. I'm not afraid to adapt. And I was telling someone, I remember I was using like hardware. I remember I had a Yamaha Motif and I had a MPC 1000, and like it started moving into digital. Everybody starts using Fruity Loops and everybody's using Reason. I remember these older guys would tell me like, man, that's not real production. That's not
Yep.
real
Yep.
this. Those people are no longer even relevant to what's going
Yeah.
on. And for me, I made that transition. And even like seeing how younger people like use loops to make music. And I remember a point where I was like, oh, you can't use loops. That's not real music. And
Yeah.
I tried it out and it's, oh, I can put this into my toolkit as something that if I want to use it. And I think that is something that is so important, is to just, you don't have to take on everything, but be open to trying it and be open to exploring it. I went see, and it's dope that you did that podcast. I forget the name, but you did the Sunrise episode. One of my favorite groups, Sunrise, has been very just impactful on my journey, not just from the music, but from like some of his lectures and stuff like that. But I went to the Guggenheim and I saw the Sunrise Orchestra perform 2 weeks ago. And Marshall Allen, he's 101 years old, still leading the band. He's playing the saxophone and then he switches to this digital woodwind instrument. He's 101 years old. That shit didn't exist when he first started making music. But seeing this person that is 101 years old still exploring, still playing, that's how I want to treat my work. So it's like, cool, I need to find a way to make my background behind me look cool. I need to find a way to make it look fun and make it look playful. So I'm always open to adapting. Like, I think I've never fully committed myself to one type of, like, I'm always open to exploring in different ways.
Yeah, it's important. And also recognizing that podcasting is this evolving medium, and it's evolving actually with the creators who are innovating inside of it. The resistance to things is a natural way of being, but if you don't want to get left behind, then there's opportunities to adapt to it. And I'm an audio purist too. I love podcasting because it's audio. This podcast itself, it's always video and audio. It's going to do the same thing and it's seamless. That's how it started. That's the intention. That's how it'll be. So I think as we move this forward, I'm looking forward to seeing podcasts look like and represent the lives that we are living.
For sure. And it's funny you say that, because when I lived in Los Angeles, I used to record myself in nature and I would film myself, and I never thought about putting it out. Like, it was just like, I just needed video to promote what I was doing. But now having that skill, I can be more intentional about how this looks, how it sounds. And I've seen a lot of people, like you said, a lot of audio purists, like, mad about, I think this is something that we've seen time and time again. Music went from terrestrial radio to music videos, from music videos to digital. You know, us as the creators, like, we don't dictate the words. Netflix is putting all this money behind video podcasts and not worried about the audio. They got the money to change the definition of what a podcast is. For us as the creators, like, I think as long as you're not chasing the trends and you're staying true to what's true to you, like there's still gonna be people that still buy vinyls. There's still gonna be
Yeah.
people that are still looking for audio. Like you just have to be okay and committed to the game that you want to play.
Yeah, I really appreciate your thoughts on that. As far as advice, man, you said stagnation can hide inside loyalty to an old plan. You know when it's time to evolve a show, even if it's been working, and you're actively doing that now with the art of letting go.
Ooh, that's a process of just trusting your feelings. I think when I'm not, and I don't think excited is like a stretch, but when something just feels monotony, like when you feel like you're just doing something just to do it and you're not progressing, you're not evolving, it's time to move on. And that's with anything. That's with having friends. And it's like, y'all doing the same thing every weekend. And you get to the point where you're like, I want more out of this. I want to have deeper conversations.
Yeah.
You got to find more. In the case of the art of letting go, like I've felt successful in it, but I've also felt like I've said everything I needed to say in this space. And maybe it's something as simple as a name change, just changing the name. I don't know, but I know that for a while I felt like I accomplished everything I wanted to in this space.
Yeah.
And I am feeling the what's next. And I am feeling like I'm a little stagnant in this space. So it's time to move on and it's time to release. And it can, because I think the same thing, that's what's happening in podcasting. Some people have seen so much success. Like a lot of people have benefited off it just being what it is. And now that it's evolving, it's fuck, I got to learn this new way. Or I might not be fear of not being successful. And I think that comes up for all of us, but you have to believe that the shit will work. And I think that's why I am okay moving on past the art of letting go, because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know I had to go from having a co-host to being by myself. And I did it. When I had to go during the pandemic, when I couldn't interview people face to face and I had to go virtual, I had never done it before. I was scared to do that and I did it. So even with this is all right, doing live podcasts. I had never done that before and I wanted to do it. So it's like at every stage, I've wanted to do something more and I've been scared and I pushed past the fear and saw success. And it's like, even with this, it's like, all right, now let's wrap the show up.
Yeah.
And there's that feeling of, damn, if I do something else, are people gonna follow? Who cares?
Yeah.
And I could always go back.
People so often keep the sun blocked, meaning that they always keep something there that's going to block the sun from whatever else can grow, whatever else can come out of this. We are meant to evolve. We're meant to pivot and put things down. And the tighter you hold on to things, you don't have no hands open to catch what's next at all. So it is important. And you might have heard me say this at the conference, but I always tell podcasters, I'm like, this is a creative space. You don't you a musician. You didn't do one song and say, okay, I did my music. You did mad songs.
Yeah.
And if it's run its course, allow that and move on to something else. But please stay. Stay in podcasting because we need you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you also called out the myth that successful creators do everything solo. What kind of support actually makes the biggest difference for podcasters?
Ooh, that's a great question. For me, I've been a solo creator for a long time and it's worked for me because I do have all these skill sets. But I will say, as I've progressed in the journey, it's become harder to do it alone. So it's like somebody that could support in any aspects of the process of creating and like distributing it. Like if somebody can help with marketing, welcome that support. If somebody can help with, if you're not the best editor, somebody else is better than you, let them support you in editing. As a producer, a production assistant has been so helpful to me when it comes down to doing some of that research, sending those emails, following up with calendar invites, all of that stuff. I was spoiled working with it. And I will say it was an adjustment for me because I've done everything alone. So it's hard for me to ask for help and ask for support. But when people offer support and they're there to help you, take it. Like that is my advice for anybody. Sharing the podcast and all that stuff is helpful. When we talk about the professional level, allow yourself to work with other people. And I think something that has been helpful for me is taking into consideration of what parts of this am I okay delegating to somebody else, and which parts of this can I not let go of?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
parts of the creative that I can't let go of. Some of that admin and stuff like that, I'm okay delegating it to somebody else. If I have a person or persons that want to work with me on that, or I hire somebody to do that, I don't mind. It's way harder to do this alone than it is because you're competing with people that are doing this with 6 to
Hell
12
yeah.
people teams.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know what you can do, and that's great. That's a great place to start. But scalability is everything.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about people staying in podcasting and not leaving is maybe you did host this show or produce this show that you may be tired of producing, but you may be able to support somebody else as a producer. You may be able to
Yeah.
support somebody else if you're really good at marketing. I think we learn so many skills in that we can take these other places. And I've done it myself. Like I said, being able to produce other people's shows, but then even helping people in producing their content. Like there's a show called Hella Cheese Made that I've supported in like editing content for them. Hey, this is how I would do this for my own show. So let me
Yeah.
support you in showing you how to do this for your show. Yeah, any way we
Yeah.
can help
Yeah.
each other.
Any way we can help each other sustain in this industry, in this market, is important work, man. It really is. So you're preparing to release the final season of The Art of Letting Go. Again, congratulations, man, on
I
the
appreciate
200
that.
episode. Really important that you were consistent and got this work done. What do you want that season to represent for you and for the people who've been listening over the years?
I want this season to represent just closing out on your own terms. The theme that has been speaking to me the most for this season has been faith. If the listeners could take anything away from this, believe in yourself, trust in the journey, and yeah, just go for what feels right. Like I said, it feels like time to end, and it's not my end in podcasting. It's just elevating. So like really allowing myself and also my listeners to elevate as well. Like I feel like they have been with me on this journey and we've progressed so much together, but now it's let me take you a little deeper into the journey. The middle may have went somewhere else, but as a human being, this is something that we all should have and carry and just support each other in this journey. Like going back to support, I think that's why spaces like Afros and audio is so important because the podcasting industry, in my experience, when I go to some of these other conferences, some of these other festivals, it's not a whole lot of people that look like us. It can feel a little disconnected if I'm just being truly honest with you. But something about seeing my people, going to a conference and seeing you, going to places and just connecting, it feels good. And it feels nice to be able to share those tools, share those experiences, share that knowledge, but then also just connect humans because we all in this together at whatever stage you at. Like we all pushing to just keep elevating and keep growing. Yeah, I just wanted to share that as well.
For sure, man. I appreciate that. And as you move this forward, are there any projects that you're working on now that really excite you or that you're looking forward to doing next?
Yeah. So there is a podcast that I do with my partner called The Creator's Toolkit. We've been doing that one in seasons. We've been workshopping the seasons. And I'm excited to see what we do with the next one because we are taking the approach of master classes, going into building those worlds. I want people to feel like they're in school. So yeah, playing around with that a little bit. And yeah, I'm turning 40 this year.
Nice.
I am working on some audio pieces that are both podcasts and music that just reflect 40 years of living. It can just be used as a tool for other people. I tell people like there isn't a handbook of what you're supposed to be like as a man at 40, even reflecting on just like the last 9 years of podcasting. I hope that the art of letting go is something that somebody could find 30 years from now and just see, oh, this is a man that lived through his 30s and figured it out at every stage. And that's really the hope for all of my work is that just people receive somebody just figuring it out.
I'm past 40 at this point. I just started my 50s.
Okay.
And one of the things I reflected on as I came into my 50s, fuck, all right, what's this one gonna be? I realized, wow, from 40 years old to 50, the growth, I didn't see any of the life that I'm currently experiencing and the things that I'm currently doing. Just knowing how much a decade matters, right?
Yeah.
And how it counts. And I'm sure you can see that too from 30 to 40. Like that span of time grows you up so much. So I'm very happy that you were getting ready to turn this big age of 40 because you're going to wake up and be like, oh, I'm grown now. You've been grown for a long ass time. But 40 makes you feel grown as hell, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome, man. Listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, this is really dope. I appreciate you having me. Like, I've really enjoyed this conversation and just the thoughtfulness that you put into your questions. Like, they really made me think. I feel like I'm always on the other side, making
man.
people think about things. So to be in a space where somebody is really making me like think and reflect, I appreciate this.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's the point of this. We all creators, and oftentimes we don't get to talk about us as the creator. How do we come to be in this space? So this is definitely the point and purpose of this, is to hear from y'all and see what's going on. It inspires. Let people know where they can find you online and social media.
You could find me theartoflettinggopodcast.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Mike Brown. I think my Mike Brown tag on just about everything is just Mike Brown. You can find me where all Mike Browns are sold. No, I'm just kidding. But just Mike Brown on everything, the Art of Letting Go podcast on everything.
Okay, how can people work with you if they want to?
So definitely reach out through my website. I do have a link on there for discovery call. Let me know what your project is, or if you just have this idea that you're trying to figure out how to work out, we'll figure out how to work it out. So yeah, through my website, LinkedIn, but those are the main two places.
Nice. And I want to just shout out, we did an episode together on Art Letting Go, so check it out. Check it out. It was a good one. I love that conversation. Once again, man, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.